All right, there's been quite a few responses of folks who've enjoyed some of the display videos. It's a sort of a 10-year touch. Some of these I literally haven't seen in a couple of years, and so I know you haven't. And with each different little place that I keep them, this should be a frame right here. It's not that they're all the exact same size, about 2 inches. They're all blends of rhyolite, but sometimes there's a little more to it than that. Some of these they just sort of meet in a common area in my heart, and that's why I put them in a certain particular place, and they stay together. Now this right here, this is well, of course I got a candle going, you got to have that. But this is my bowl of souls right here. I guess how much pottery you find is a relative thing, right? But this is as big a pieces, and there's a lot bigger pieces underneath this. But these are as expressive pieces and the best pieces of pottery that I have ever found. So many things about these pieces, I don't know if the focus is coming in, are stunning. Pottery tells you way more than these stone points do. One was made to get out there and make happen violent pursuit of game, expendable. One was made for a little bit of flair of decoration and to be kept and used as long as they could use it. If it broke, it was expendable. They make some more. But there are so many dispensations of people group that you're looking at with pottery that tells their story and the expression of the woman who, and it's usually a feminine product that makes the pottery, whether it's their fingernail prints or them using a known pinch around the edge with your fingers. I don't know, there's a name for it. I've talked to potters. Or just even more decoration on rims. Just stunning pieces that put the still on me most of the time, right? Probably on you too. It's just stunning. That's my bowl. That actual bowl came from Ecuador. But look at this. This compartment right here, those of you in a winter cold that are just getting a display, is where we're looking today. Now we've looked at many of the other compartments, not all of them. And on my top shelf stuff, I figured I would work to do this 10-year touch series. And it's a good thing. I'm reading a book on Iroquois diplomacy and the understanding of the Iroquois League of Five Nations and how they handled their politics and things like that. I've been in pursuit of the earliest primary source resource for North American Indians and their interactions and relations with clans and politics, because they were diplomats. And there is such a thing as a good body politic. Now, there's never such a thing as a human being without faults. So we've always had wars, violence, greed. But there's better ways of doing governance, and there's worse ways, right? And I'll leave it at that. The book is awesome. I'll highlight it. If somebody wants to know what it is, just put a shout out to me. It's about Iroquois diplomacy, and it's really well put together. Covers the spans of, those ages of late 1400s, 1600s, 1700s, even to when the Tuscarora here in eastern North Carolina went back up to join them and form another route, if you will, to the League in the early 1700s. Look at this point. Stunning stuff. This is actually, and I say this a lot, one of my absolute favorite groups. I mean, there's different styles and different groups, but this 2-inch size, and they're so sturdy and so strong and so perfect, in my opinion, that they just happen to be a favorite size and what have you. I mean, look at these. That's staggering, found at Site 7. Here's a piece found at the Archaic. It is purple rhyolite. I mean, to give you a good glimpse of the size of this stuff. My red hands are taken away from the real good natural color on this. That's why I use the charcoal back on this. Works better. Now, I'll show you. I mean, look at that color. Stunning. Craziness. Now, moving on. Here's a point found probably 5 years ago at Mecca. They all tell their stories. My guess, growing up hunting and fishing, is that every hunter and pursuer that was making these things had seen varieties of the kind of point they were flaking out, or had success with types of points they were making out, and just reproduced the success. They had success with something as looking like this, then for the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, 200, 300 years, them, their sons, their cousins, they're seeing somebody come in who's a real high-end successful hunter, and they just keep making, because they had the capability, making points like this. I mean, look at the relief on this. They just did a little chip off the back just to get a hafted shaft in there. This is just stunning stuff to me. This is found at Sand Run, which is adjacent to Mecca. It's just, they just speak for themselves. I'm pretty stunned at this reality. Some of you guys have heard it. Some of you have been to museums, right? I have. And what I like is I could have you over, whatever, and then you'd have a real hands-on museum. Way better than anything you could go to, even at the North Carolina Museum of Natural History or whatever. I have heard that they have crates, boxes of North American Indian artifacts that they were donated to by farmers or whatever, and were able to have student groups go out and collect them in the past decades, but they haven't even got through them yet because they don't have a curator that can handle it, or they're just not interested. Down in their archives. This is crazy. No appreciation. I'm waiting for somebody who's out there who works in the industry to comment back and tell me more about it. I'm always open to learn, but this one right here, I'm looking at my time too. That came from the archaic as well. But this one came from Notchville, and it is a purplish rhyolite. We featured some of the quartz on some of the last videos, but this is just stunning rhyolite. How different the styles, right? It's just speaking out loud of the personality that made these, of their experience and the impressions they had from their dad and their grandfather and other hunters. It's just crazy. Look at this. Maybe a point that's been reduced and used up. Maybe not. Cascade. Maybe 7 years ago I found that. It is super, if you could look around this, I don't know what the stem area or whatever, it's super ground. Wicked smooth in there. Here's a point. I can remember all of these because they're favorites, found at Mecca. If I touch any one of these, it's like, oh, I love it. It's my favorite. But I have realized the fragility of it all, and only right now, for a very short amount of time, I'm supposed to keep them safe. Did my best to save them, but, you know, that's it, guys. Look at this point from the archaic as well. It's rhyolite, if you're wondering. As I finish up here, you guys, if you're patient or if you're watching these, it's just because you absolutely love the artifacts of the North American Indian. You just could drink it in and have a little bit of quiet time. Look at these 2 points in the middle. This one found at the Vulture. always love the indication of their intention in the relief. People call them flutes on some, but so they could get that thing in there. It just shows how they were just purposed in getting this thing ready to go. And the weight on these, I mean, I understand hunting. It's just, they could put that on mark, and with some good velocity, these are devastating. I don't know what you hunt with out there. If you hunt, I use a 7mm Remington mag. It's a devastating bullet, but that's what we can get now. That's as good as we can get now, arguably. This is as good as they could get then. Back 4,000 years ago. Point for Mecca. And Rhyolite. See the relief flake. Just took a piece of stone and made it work for what they needed it for, which was their food. Anyway, I think that gives you a good close-up and a little bit of a trip to Eastern North Carolina Museum. I, for one, follow all your channels. Love to see any, videos like this or something that you have where you have a handful or a group that you just find to be tops for you for whatever reason. Put them up there. A lot of people want to see them. Hope everybody finds out there.